Canadian maternity leave. It's so addictive.
Do you know how much it costs to have a baby in America? Depending on your insurance, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, sometimes $15,000. No insurance can be $30,000, $50,000 if you have a C-section. Do you know how much it is in Canada? Free! You walk in the hospital, have the baby, and you walk out of the hospital, and you just get in your car and you go home. Cheaper than a cup of coffee.
I'm jealous of Canadians because they have universal health care. In America, we just have Mr. Beast.
I grew up in Canada, okay? We have socialized medicine. I'm here to tell you that this bullshit line that you get on all of the political shows is that it's a failure. The system is a failure in Canada. It is not a failure in Canada. I never waited for anything in my life. I chose my own doctors. My mother never paid for a prescription. It was fantastic. And I just got back from Vancouver, and I keep hearing this, like, Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. They can be nice because they have health care.
You have to stop saying that you're going to move to Canada whenever you're mad at something in the U.S. As a Canadian, I'm sorry, but no, you can't. I know we're friendly, but Canada's not your safe house. I mean, we barely let Canadians into Canada anymore, so please, pick somewhere else. I hear Finland is really lovely this time of year. You have to stop.
One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us. By the way, they should be grateful also.
Canada and the United States have built a remarkable partnership in the economy, in security, and in rich cultural exchange. But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
When it comes to Canada being looked at as the 51st state, let me just state it again, that's never going to happen. Canadians define themselves a whole bunch of different ways, but one of the ways that we all use as shorthand is we're Canadian because we're not American.
He's just joking. He's not serious about annexing Canada. This is just a joke, everyone. Lighten up. This is totally normal for presidents of the United States to do. Come on. He does not want to annex Canada. That was a joke.
You know, it's hysterical, the MAGA response to Canadians boycotting American products and canceling their trips to the United States. Well, we're not going to buy Canadian products. Honey, that's going to be hard because you can't even identify Canada on a map, let alone Canadian-made products. So good luck with that.
Some perspective for Americans who are going after Canada again. Look, Canada was disrespected by an ally, and they simply responded. It's well within their right to push back, all right? And just because they don't want to sell U.S. products anymore doesn't mean you can get cranky about it.
Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago. Many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state.
Canadians are a gentle people, but once roused, they'll pull the sweater over your head and bat you about the ears with abandon. And I think that's what's happening now.
Let's look at what's happened to the United States since the summer. They have lost 6,000 jobs. This country's created over 80,000 jobs since August. Let's look at what's happened to wages in this country. They are growing the highest in years, 4%. They're growing twice the rate of inflation. Canadians are getting ahead. Every single month of this government, Canadian wages have grown faster than the rate of inflation. Rents are at a 33-month low. Affordability is the best it's been in over a decade.
What is one country that you would not like to visit?
Currently, it's the U.S. I have no desire to be in the United States. I haven't visited the United States until a certain authoritarian populist took over the country.
Has U.S. affected Canada's economy a lot, do you think?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've been hard intertrade partners for, many decades now. And with all the trade wars and tariffs that are going on right now, it's certainly put strain on both economies.
And do you think Mark Carney's doing a good job to help us?
Yeah, I think he was probably the right guy at the right time. He's got a pretty heavy financial background. and approaches the leadership role almost like a CEO.
U.S. versus Canada healthcare. Which one would you choose?
Canadian healthcare.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, it's free. It's like, it's funny because like my American friends don't get it. They hear the horror stories.
Yeah.
And there are some bad things about, look, if I had unlimited money, maybe the American one's pretty good, but then that kind of defeats the purpose.
That's right.
I love being able to walk in with a card. It doesn't matter if I have a sniffle or a gunshot wound.
Right.
One card, will you fix me? And they're like, yes, come in.
Sure. You might wait.
You might wait.
You might wait.
You know what? I've been in emergency rooms in LA. They weren't fast.
Oh.
I wasn't sitting there going, wow, this is the fastest.
And then, you get 3 bills in the mail.
Oh my gosh.
And it's terrifying.
Oh, the best is when they send you the bill and it's not for you. It's just what the insurance company owes. It kind of looks like it's for you. You're like, what? This is for me? And they're like, no. We just want to let you know.
And God forbid you go to the wrong out-of-network, whatever the hell that is.
I don't even get that. What is a network?
Canada, 1-0.
Americans trying to dunk on Canada right now is literally so weird to me because, dude, your president is a convicted felon who's literally in the Epstein files, okay? Our prime minister is a world-renowned economist with a PhD from Oxford. We are not the same.
Apparently, Canada just got ranked top 5 in the world for freedom, and the United States ranked 57th. Canada has more freedom than America? Is freedom paying half your income in taxes, needing permits for everything, the government stealing legal gun owners' firearms? That's not freedom. Now let's compare that to the United States. Lower taxes, stronger constitutional protections, stronger free speech culture, stronger gun rights, and somehow that makes it rank 57th? Because if freedom means high taxation, heavy regulation, and increasing restrictions, then we need to redefine the word here.
American things Europeans think are weird. Maternity leave. In the USA, there's no standard paid maternity leave, but you can get 12 weeks of unpaid leave. Whereas in Europe, there's at least 14 weeks of maternity leave, with many countries offering much more. For example, in Germany, Norway, Lithuania, Sweden, and Hungary, they offer a full year or more of paid maternity leave. In Germany, you can actually take up to 3 years off, and it's not just for the moms. There's paternal leave too.
Here are 5 reasons why Canada is indisputably better than the United States. Of course, in Canada, we have publicly funded healthcare, so we don't end up leaving the hospital having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. In Canada, universities and colleges are subsidized, which means we pay on average $6,500 a year in tuition, but in the United States, Americans pay on average $26,000 a year. The life expectancy in Canada is 82, and in the US, it's 78. Don't get me wrong, parts of the US are absolutely breathtaking, but there is seriously nothing like Canadian beauty. And all of the previous reasons help explain why this one is true. Canada is the 9th happiest country in the world, and the United States is the 19th.
So family, MAGA reacts as Canada's system exposes America's weaknesses, and the internet is absolutely exploding with debate. Because for years, many Americans were told that the United States was unquestionably the greatest country on earth, the ultimate symbol of freedom, opportunity, and even success. But now, millions of people online are looking north towards Canada and asking very uncomfortable questions. If America is supposedly the richest and the most powerful nation in the world, then why are ordinary people struggling so much harder than people living just across the border? And that question alone is driving some of the most emotional reactions we've seen online recently, because once Americans start comparing healthcare costs, paid maternity leave, college affordability, work-life balance, wages, and even basic quality of life between the two countries, the conversation suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. And for many MAGA supporters who spent years mocking Canada as socialist, the comparison is now becoming deeply frustrating. Social media is filled with Americans reacting in disbelief after learning that many Canadians can go to the hospital without fearing lifelong debt, that parents can receive lengthy maternity and even parental leave support, and that college tuition is in many cases cost drastically less than what typically Americans pay. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are drowning in medical bills, struggling to afford rent, working multiple jobs, and even still feeling financially trapped despite doing everything they were told would lead to success. And that's where the emotional part of this debate really begins, family, because this is no longer just politics. This is becoming personal. People are realizing that the American dream many grew up believing in feels further away from what they ever thought before. And younger Americans especially are starting to openly question whether the system is truly working for ordinary citizens or only benefiting the ultra wealthy. And what makes this conversation even more explosive is the fact that Canada is not some distant European country with a completely different culture. Canada is America's direct neighbor. The lifestyles, mix, media, language, entertainment, and even economics are deeply connected. And so when Americans see Canadians living under systems that seem to provide stronger safety nets while still maintaining modern economies and freedoms, it creates a comparison that hits much harder emotionally. And the reactions online have been intense. Some Americans are openly admitting that they feel betrayed by the system they really depended on for years. Others are angry in the comparison itself, insisting America still offers greater freedom and opportunity. Meanwhile, many Canadians watching these debates seem shocked that basic things they consider normal are viewed as luxuries in the United States. And one of the biggest flashpoints has been healthcare, especially. Americans are increasingly speaking out about medical debt, insanely expensive prescriptions, insurance battles, and the fear of simply getting sick. And every time a Canadian shares the experience of receiving treatment without massive bills attached, the internet erupts again. Suddenly, people start asking why the richest country in the world still has millions terrified of going to the doctor. And then there is the cost of living crisis. Americans everywhere are venting around about groceries, rent, gas prices, childcare, and even stagnant wages. Many feel like they're working harder than ever, yet falling further behind financially. And so when Canada enters the conversation with strong worker protections and social programs, it forces people to rethink narratives they never had their entire lives. But perhaps the most powerful part of the entire debate is psychological. For decades, American exceptionalism was presented almost like an unquestionable truth. Many people genuinely believed other countries envied every aspect of American life. But now, with social media exposing global comparisons in real time, people are seeing that citizens in other developed countries often live with less financial anxiety, lower healthcare stress, and more work-life balance. And this realization is hitting especially hard among younger generations who already feel exhausted by debt, by inflation, and even economic uncertainty. And many are openly saying they no longer believe hard work alone guarantees stability anymore. That frustration is fueling these viral reactions because Canada has unexpectedly become a mirror reflecting America's deepest insecurities. And of course, Canada has its own serious issues too. Canadians complain about housing costs, taxes, inflation, and healthcare. Wait times. No country is perfect, definitely, but that nuance often disappears online because emotionally charged comparisons drive engagement. And right now, the comparison that is dominating social media is simple. Why do so many Americans feel like they are struggling more despite having living in the wealthiest nation on earth? And the question alone explains why MAGA reactions have been so strong, because when people hear comparisons suggesting Canada may be outperforming America in key quality of life areas, it challenges a core identity many people hold very deeply. It creates anger, it creates denial, it creates defensiveness, and sometimes even reflection. And what we are witnessing is larger than a political debate, family. This is becoming a cultural moment where millions of Americans are reevaluating on success, what freedom and what prosperity actually mean. And is freedom just lower taxes and less government involvement? Because freedom also means being able to afford health care, to raise children without crushing financial pressure, and living without constant economic fear. And that's the conversation exploding online right now. And whether people love or hate the comparison, one thing is undeniable for sure, family. Canada's system has exposed deep frustrations many Americans were already quietly carrying inside for years. And the difference now is that those frustrations are no longer staying quiet, they're going viral.